All right, here we go. All right, welcome to week 5 Tuesday night meeting to go over our games of the past week, week 6, to go over our past games and talk about some film for the upcoming weeks. I have a couple things that I want to just ask to the group before we get started here. And for those that are currently white hats, I'm opening this to the group. I want a group discussion on this one. And the very first one I have is, what is the purpose of a technical timeout at the high school level?
You're up, Eric. You just had one.
I thought he wasn't asking the white hats. Maybe I didn't understand this right.
Yeah.
Now, my understanding of a technical timeout is one opportunity for the coach to ask a question about a rule interpretation. It's not the chance for a comment about the flag that we threw.
And that's the best way to explain that. Does anybody else have any other thing they want to add to that?
I think, Bill, you were the one who created it. If you have a
Yeah,
different definition.
no, that you're right. The intent, and it was written probably 20 years ago now. The intent was to improve communication between the referee and the benches, rather than have the coach shouting. And while, as you guys were just talking about earlier, the St. Malachy's example, it's an opportunity for the coach to ask a question about a play result or a rule application. And as you said, it's not an opportunity to vent. The whole idea is communication.
When we do a technical timeout, do we do a technical timeout with one coach at a time?
No,
How are we handling the technical timeouts?
both head coaches meet me in the middle of the field.
Perfect.
Like, sorry, I guess not the middle, but the sideline at the 55.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not necessarily the head coach, one coach from each team.
Yeah, unless the coach has been around for a while and in the pregame the coach is saying, look to me for offensive fouls, look to him for defensive fouls, I tend to ask for the head coach. Unless it's specific like that.
And I tend to agree with Chris. I don't want to be dealing with assistant coaches. I'm there to work the game with the head coaches. And if we are going to have a technical timeout, I want both head coaches out with me during that technical timeout. That's how I like to do it. Gates, do you have anything that you would like to add to that?
I'm not opposed to having another coach join us, but that ultimately what you've said is the way in which it was written.
Okay.
The idea is that there are a few high school teams with very good coaching staffs where the head coach may not know what happened on the field because he deals with the offense and it was a defensive situation.
Yeah.
And some of those staffs, the head coach is bright enough and professional enough that they will say, can I bring my defensive coach out because he knows what's going on?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not bringing people, you're not allowing people to come out so that you have one group with two and so on. That's not the purpose.
Yeah.
Straighten out the issue.
That's it. I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page what these technical timeouts are for. And as Eric said, this is a chance for us to explain a ruling on the field. But it's not a chance for a coach to have one-on-one vent time with us. Fowler, if a white hat's going through that technical timeout and they are receiving that venting from the bench, what should a good umpire do there?
Probably pull his referee on the back and say, we're done. No, just technical timeouts over, walk away.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. It's really important. I've been in that situation with Fowler as my umpire before, and As umpires, guys, we're there to help the referee out. So if we do have a technical timeout not going the way it should be going, help that referee get out of that conversation. And then once you're out in the middle of the field, then you can decide if a flag should be thrown based on the conversation that took place on the sideline. Okay.
I have a quick question about that.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Sorry about that. So how long do you let that go? Meaning, how long do you let this referee, or sorry, the coach, continue on asking the question?
Oh, if he's going down the wrong path, if he's not asking a question about an interpretation, we're done. It's time to leave then.
Yeah.
Should be a quick process.
I usually ask the coach right up front, is a question coming? And if there's no question coming, I'm out of there. I do think, Bill, I do think these technical timeouts are good for the purpose that they were put in place for. I'm just reading your game reports. I had a couple emails come into me this week, not to ask questions about the game, but to ask me what are the purpose for technical timeouts. So I have not replied to them yet. I wanted to have this chat with the group first, and I will forward this feedback on to Perry to distribute to all the coaches.
They should all have the friggin' document. Sorry, carry on.
Harry was
Says right in the first paragraph what they're for.
Yeah.
In the form of a question, please.
Harry was there when this initially came up and was part of the rationale for developing it. So he'll know exactly what's going on.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So there's that issue. This is a question for a non-AUS official. Okay. To start off a game, a visiting team is deciding they're going to run out onto the field as they enter onto the field for the game, and they're heading for center field with a flag. Do we allow them to go out to center field? How should we be handling a visiting team running out to a home team's field carrying a flag?
That's hypothetical, right?
Maybe, maybe not.
Unfortunately, not always.
No.
No, it happened this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have an issue when there's the logo of the home team. And we should kind of be doing what we do at the AUS, just prevent it from happening in the first place. If it's a neutral site like Rocky Stone, don't really see an issue with it as long as it's not in the face of the other team.
Anybody else? Any thoughts on this?
League issue.
League issue. I agree with you 100% that it's a league issue, but I also think that we can do some preventative officiating by just keeping an eye. Be aware when these teams are coming out to the field, and let's prevent any headaches at the beginning of the game and keeping the visiting team on their side of the field, and the home team, it's their field. So whether it's Rocky Stone, whether it's at Odyssey or MHS, it's their home field. So let's let them have their home field advantage, and let's try to prevent any visiting team from starting the game off in the wrong way.
What team was there an issue with? Just
Well, I've received a couple emails this year about this, but I got one from I believe it was the FHS OHS game this weekend, and at the OHS home game, FHS decided they were going to sprint from the end zone out to center field and plant a flag at center field, and it's It's just not well received, that's all. So let's just, as officials, prior to the game, let's keep an eye out for that visiting team coming onto the field and try our best to keep them on their side of the field to prevent anything little like that to start a game. We just don't need that kind of emotion starting a game. That's my 2 cents on that. Anybody?
All that takes as well is just a couple officials go out, stand at the 45 or 50-yard line too, and just get as they're running out towards you, just get them to slow it down a little bit, right? I've had that happen. I've had this situation in the game earlier in the season. That's all we did, and there was no issues.
Yeah. Timers. I'm still seeing in a lot of game reports that the clocks aren't working at this field, clocks aren't working on this field. And in some crews, the referees running the time, we get somebody on the sideline to run a stopwatch. Do we need to put some kind of policy in place how we're going to handle time when a scoreboard's not working, so that we're consistent across the board? Anybody have any thoughts on these clock situations? Because it seems there's numerous clocks across the province that have issues these days.
I think whoever is going to run the clock gets a stopwatch and stands at the 55 in between the benches. Because the thing that drives me nuts is when I have a coach screaming every third play, how much time's left, how much time's left.
Yeah.
I think standing at the 55 so that each coach can come up in professional manner and say, sir, ma'am, how much time's left on the clock? And then they're near the line judge that can relay it to the rest of the crew if needed.
And we're okay with that being a home team representative running that stopwatch?
Who's running the clock?
Yeah, who was running the clock?
Doing it in the first place.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't want to go through but let's just keep that in our back pocket, that if we do have issues, let's get that scorekeeper or the whoever's running the stop clock right on the side of the field, so that they can communicate with us as well as both benches a little bit easier. Okay. Last thing for me is, and I hate talking about this subject, I can't stand it, but it's drones. And I've noticed in a game report this weekend, and I got another email about drones this week. I almost want to tell Perry that we will not allow them, but that's not our decision. So again, our policy right now when it comes to drones is, if there's an issue with one of the benches with regards to drones, they're to take it up with Perry and the league. We're not getting involved in this issue with drones from our perspective, unless it's over the playing field, then a warning would go to the home coach. But outside that, I just don't want us getting overly involved with these. We've got enough. We have enough to worry about on the field of play, not what's happening 50 feet above us. And with that, that's all I have, unless anybody has comments on drones. With that, Al, I'm going to turn it over to you.
You got to make me the host.
I am doing that now.
Okay.
Al, before you start your videos, I have a question about standards for OC. We had a player after a touchdown take the ball and just kind of spin it on the turf. One of my officials thought that was OC worthy, and I waved it off. So we didn't come to a consensus in the locker room. We thought we'd open it up here.
I think if you look at the rule, it tells you what would classify as unnecessary roughness, objectionable conduct, use profane, obscene, insulting language that are down, sportsmanlike conduct such as throwing the ball at an opponent an official and a occupant. Tactics by players which delay or hinder the smooth operation of the game shall be penalized under this section. These tactics include spiking the ball or deliberately throwing or kicking the ball away after it has been declared dead on a play. Then it goes on about running to and running into an official and so on. I might be out in left field on this, but if a kid takes the ball and he spins it after a touchdown because he's excited, and the ball stays right there and it doesn't bounce at anybody, and they leave the field, if he spikes it and it stays right there, if he throws it up in the air and it comes down in his hands or somebody else, I don't view that as objectionable conduct or excessive celebration, that some people like to call it. If they spike the ball, hits an opponent, it says right there you can't throw it at an opponent. If it delays the game, I believe we should have a foul. So if it spikes it and it goes scooting way over off the sideline, this is me speaking. This isn't just tossing stuff out so that people can talk about it. I think we need to use a little bit of common sense.
Mm-hmm.
We have
I
kids.
agree with you, Al. If it's not at an opponent's feet, if it's not directed at an opponent, let the kids have fun. That's my 2 cents on it.
The kid jumps up after a 40-yard tough run and does the first down signal, and he doesn't say anything to an opponent. He doesn't get in the opponent's face or anything. Just say, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Sometimes making them go chase the ball if it bounces a few yards away from them sends a message also. But that, again, that's my comment. Those are the standards I sort of like to use. That doesn't mean that they may be the correct standards we should be using.
Anybody have any other discussion we need to have before film study starts? All right. You're up, Al.
Did you make me the host yet?
You are already the host.
I am the host. I am the host. Week 6. So here's an interesting thing. I got a note from our illustrious leader here about 5 o'clock, somewhere in that general vicinity, after my laptop came back from the doctor. And he asked me, how many clips do you have? And I said, well, I have a bunch. Oh, that's an awful lot. It's going to be an awful long time.
You said 21 videos plus 1.
So here's the interesting thing. I told him how many clips I had. Since then, I removed 6. The ones I removed are the ones that showed members of our crews doing good things. And our boss said they don't need to be shown them.
I didn't say that. I
just want to toss that one out.
Of clips.
Anyhow, so here we go. Rules, positioning, and mechanics. So this occurred, and a couple of people have sent this message off to me. Suspected head injury or concussion. As an official, if you note that some player is displaying some form of head injury or neck injury, we need to bring it to the attention of the referee. The referee and umpire then need to bring that player to the bench and notify the head coach, and if at all possible, the trainer, of our concern. Ultimately, Mr. Solicitor, you can probably correct me on this. Ultimately, this is all we can do, is bring the player over to the bench because we figure they've suffered a concussion or they've hurt their neck or head, and tell the head coach and trainer that this is what we believe. It's then up to those 2 individuals or that individual to take it under. God, I can't spell. It would be also strongly advised that you should also note the time in the game in which you believe the injury occurred. So what the play was, if also possible. Why your attention was raised, meaning the behavior of the player and what you did. So you took the player to the head coach and you inform the head coach of your concern based on the play. And then afterwards, it would also be advised that you should record the actions that the trainer or coach took. Okay, we are not a doctor. We cannot force people to do things. It's ultimately the coach's decision on what's going to happen with that player, whether we disagree or not. Remember, because we're taking them off because of an injury, they're out for at least 3 plays, but ultimately that's all we can do. Jim, am I fairly accurate in saying that, or should I shut up after the second word in my print?
No, I think that's pretty accurate. We don't want to insert ourselves into a liability conversation. We have a duty under the rules, if we notice that, to report it and act appropriately. And if you do notice it, and then you don't act appropriately, then you could have some issues. Yeah, really, the stuff about writing it all up would be what a lawyer would want in a perfect world, but you can't always get that. You don't usually get that. But basically, you pass them off to the people in authority. It becomes their responsibility.
This actually happened to me in week 1. We had 2 players of the same team come together and hit their heads, and right after that, one player he was stumbling, so I stopped the game. I think Chris was my white hat. We got the trainer to come out, and that player was out for 4 weeks with a concussion.
Yeah. So this is a play that occurred.
Can I just add something to this too?
Yeah.
It's really important that the incident gets logged on the game report. We have to have something in writing that we were aware of it. I was contacted by somebody this week, not involved with either coaching staff of this clip that you're going to show, Al. And I was asked the question, what responsibility does the NBFOA have in whether a player returns to the game or not? And as you just explained, I advise them that our job is to take them to the coach and trainer. And after that, it's up to the coach and trainer to decide whether that player's ready to return or not. So, but I need to have that information in the game report for sure.
Okay, so this is a play that we're talking about that occurred this weekend.
Sorry, Al. Ray, before we go any further, are you asking if we're the ones that suspect it, or any suspected concussion?
If we are asking a player, if we're asking a player to leave the field,
that's all I want to know. That if we suspect it and we're the ones stopping the game to write it up, that's all I need.
To just include it in your game report so that I'm aware of it when I'm sending in my information to Perry. Yeah.
Yep, no problem.
Okay.
So again, you're go and watch the player in the circle. Makes contact with his head with an opponent. Looks okay, and then things don't look so good. Okay, so play is stopped. It continues on. The player is taken over to the bench. Again, as I mentioned earlier, it's important that we make sure the referee and umpire know that what's going on also in this situation. Okay, we're not a doctor. We don't have tools to diagnose a person, but the behavior of number 2 after that incident would lead us to believe he had his bell rung and probably shouldn't be on the field. But that's up to the coach to decide. We take him to the sideline. We need to indicate to the coach that we are sending him off for 3 plays because of an injury. Okay. So mechanics and positioning, the poor, the bad, and the good.
Al, just on that. Guys, if to properly diagnose a concussion, there's 4 sheets of paper. So take that into consideration when you're thinking about how quick kids are coming back. It might not feel comfortable for us. There's probably a select few individuals in these games that are actually certified to be doing that. Jillian from KV is probably one of the best at it. You need 4 sheets of paper filled out in order to get a proper diagnosis or to not actually be to be cleared of a concussion. So if there's any concern about it, I think our biggest thing is the 3 plays. It's probably not enough time, and maybe that should be documented in your thing as well. If we're sending someone off, Ray, and they're back on play number 4, that might need to be indicated as well, because in order to properly do that assessment, it's about 10 minutes. Unless you're Josh Allen, and then you can just go unconscious and come right back onto the field like he's Jesus for some reason.
Yeah.
Okay. Not meaning to scoot away from it, but Ray's limited. So a couple of things about our field goal positioning. Ideally, the guys should be right under the uprights, and there's a reason for that. It's so that we can make the call if the ball's in or out of the uprights, if the uprights are straight. We have 3 fields that I know of that the uprights, the crossbar and the uprights, are crooked or leaning at an angle. So we need to be underneath there to make the call. Okay. So this is a kickoff return from the Moncton High game. Okay, watch this player. So the question, if we go back to the original spot right here, is who should be watching in this area on the return? Okay, so this is our deep official, line of scrimmage, plays coming towards the line of scrimmage. Who should have stuff in front of the play, or the leading blocks in front of the play? Pardon me?
It's your deep side official.
Okay, so this guy should be officiating in this area. And at this time, the line of scrimmage guy should be picking up the ball, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So
I'm assuming, is this a 6 crew or?
who worked this game?
This was 5.
5. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm just going to toss these 2 things out, and it's for all of us. When we see the play coming like this, and I learned it very quickly early this year at the AUS level when I was working line of scrimmage, when we see the play coming and the return is coming quickly, we need to turn or be moving. We need to be moving before the ball gets to us. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, we can stay in front of the ball and officiate it that way. And the second reason is for our safety.
Gates, I misspoke here. This is the kick return.
Yeah.
So Joe had it right. Line of scrimmage should have in front of the ball.
Okay, so this official here should be having
whoever,
blocking in front. Okay. All right. Someone just asked about the who should have this play, and this one was pulled out.
Yeah. And as a line of scrimmage guy, previously in the AUS, number 44 should be backing up the field and out of bounds.
Yeah.
Right. So you're keeping everything in front of you as you're backing up, and out of bounds is your safety spot.
Yeah, moving. Okay.
Can we talk about that one for just a quick more? So I know you got a lot, Al, but I just a couple questions about it from where I was. So I'm deep there. Yeah, so I'm the deep guy on the right hand side there. So I'm watching. I've initially got that ball carrier. Is there a mechanic? Is there at what point am I either signaling or knowing that there's a transition of that, or am I because I'm watching the ball carrier. I'm deep. I started the clock. I'm watching the ball carrier. At what point am I transitioning that, or should it be transitioned off to the sideline official? And am I out of position here? Should I have been moved up a lot more to watch that coming around?
Okay, so where you are right now is initially good because of where the ball's coming. We no longer have a mechanic to indicate that we're handing the ball off. It's usually done by understanding where the ball is and how things are going. So once he gets to here, so we're now 5-7 yards in advance and he's escaping, is when you're going to start shifting your focus to stuff here, and the line of scrimmage official is going to start picking up the ball as it comes. There's going to be a short period of time where that ball and this area in here is going to have double coverage. We're hoping that we're going to have some help from the inside too. Where you started off with was fine. Once it starts to get away from you is when the next official picks it up and goes.
Al, I got one thing on this as well.
Yeah.
Just stick crews on kickoffs. We have no need for the stick crew to be, first of all, they don't have to be up at all. We can just lay the sticks down on kickoffs. But if they are up, they don't need to be on the sideline. Like there's a nice bright yellow line there that this down spot's to be sitting on for the kickoff, just to keep them out of the way.
Yeah. Move them back. I know we talked about this last year about moving them back to set up even on regular scrimmage plays, so we have some room. Kickoffs even more so. As Pat says, we really only need the down spots. So have them backed out to the yellow line, as he alluded to. Just gives us more room to work. Okay, this is another kick play, and this is just more about being in position to make the call. Okay, so here's where the player is. Are we in a good position to make a no yards call? So ideally, this is called reading and reacting to the play. Here's the returner. Here's our cover official. And there should be one out here somewhere too. We need to move up with the ball. If we're the deep official, we need to move up. If the ball's coming down here on who's ever got the little green towel on, Matt, that might be you. If it's coming down here, our deep officials can't get there. But this is your coverage zone. And being 5, 6, 7 yards behind the returner, it makes it very, very difficult for us to make an accurate no yards call. So right now we should have flags out. I don't know if any comes out. I'm not guessing at anything, but we need to make sure we're further up in line with the returner so we can make a good judgment. Oh, it's a little rules question for you. So 99 has reported as ineligible on that side of the line. Ian 54 switch. Does he need to report again as ineligible on this side of the line?
No.
No.
And why does he not?
He's just ineligible.
He's made his number ineligible.
He's already indicated that he's ineligible and playing an ineligible position, interior line position. So he doesn't need the switch when he goes from one side to the other. Now, if he would have come out to play the tight end, what does he need to do?
Declares eligible.
He now has to declare that he's eligible. So if we were to take this little slide, so 99 has reported here as being ineligible, and I know he reported for the whole game, but just in this play sequence, he's reported ineligible. If he comes across the formation and steps in here in front of number 7 as the tight end, he needs to re-report that he is now eligible. Okay, but in this situation, he really doesn't. Three-minute warning, the ball is going to be fumbled right there and recovered. We have no change of possession. We don't need, and we all do this. We're all really, really quick to do this. When there's a fumble, if the ball is recovered by the same team and it's not after the 3-minute warning, we do not need to stop the clock.
No, Al, if you're not sure, do you still stop the clock?
You shouldn't be doing anything until you're in there to find out for sure.
Okay.
If it's going to be, sorry, this is yeah, but you're not going to stop it from these positions.
Right.
Okay, unless you're going to have, and it's going to be this official most likely making the call, unless you have a big pile and you know you're going to have to dig through it. But under a simple fumble and recovery by the same team, nobody should be stopping the clock unless we need to dig it out or there has been a change. Okay. But it happens. We do it. We all do it. Okay. So some rules and interpretations, some that were missed, some that weren't. Got to make sure that everybody has eyes on where they should be. So we have a player coming down in front of the play, in front of the ball, as it's being returned. 33 is going to come in. And deliver this hit. So just so we're all on the same page, this is very similar to the kickoff return. Okay. Ball is, where is the ball?
Just in front of him there, that other player with the ground.
Okay, right here. This number 2 has the ball. So somebody's going to be picking up the ball. Somebody's got to be watching this backside stuff. I believe the flag comes out later on from number 2 here. I don't believe I left it running long enough to get it. Yes, I did. So or 21. So the flag does come out. Because it's gone to one side of the field, we have officials coming up on the backside. And these are the types of things that happen when players do that. And we have to make sure that we acknowledge that the player broke a rule by tossing our flags. Almost an identical situation. Very easy to get missed in the crowd. Guy comes and nails him right in front of the official. Don't ball hawk. Remember, we all have areas of responsibility. Okay. So this is the player we're watching. Okay. This is quick cuts. The video quality is not near as good as for the editing quality. Comes in, goes forward, delivers a hit. Is it a foul?
It looks pretty square up.
Yeah.
I don't think that's foul.
His
Have to
timing
look
is
at a
pretty good.
definition now.
Is there no end at the other side?
Say that again, Michelle.
Is there not there's no end at the other side, or was it?
Oh no,
one
they've had a couple of formations like this where they weren't lined up properly. They didn't have enough kids on the line. I think we count they might only have 8 on the field, but it's not that. It's this player's action.
He timed it just right, did he not?
Looks fine to me.
Okay.
Ball's coming up there now.
Does that meet any of the criteria of a crackback?
But he set up didn't he set up on the line?
No, he's running still, Michelle.
He came in and he turned. He's not going in a direction towards the ball anymore. So
Yeah, he
that's
stopped.
not an issue.
Yeah. Didn't he stop, set? No.
Well, it
maybe
does,
not.
you don't have to worry about the set. That's only
No,
the
he's-
block below the waist.
It looks like he's going right down the yard markers.
So it has qualities or criteria for a crackback. He starts 3 or more yards outside. He comes in, he delivers a forceful block, but when he comes in, he squares up and he now goes forward and delivers a block. So because he squares up and goes forward, we don't have a foul. It has 3 of the criteria, goes in, no, 2 of the criteria, delivers a forceful block, but it doesn't have them all. Okay, is QB under pressure trying to prevent a loss of yards?
Yeah.
Is there a receiver in the area? Oh. You might be able to get away with a receiver in the area. Okay. There's a guy in here somewhere. What's the other criteria we're looking for?
Line of scrimmage.
The line of scrimmage. And on this pass, I believe the ball just crosses the line of scrimmage. It bounced right there. Okay, so the ball bounces here. Let's say it bounces. Let's say it bounces right there. So it's bounced 2 feet back. You're 1 foot behind that yard marker. Do we have intentional grounding?
Yes.
By the book, we would.
You play that
By the
again, Al?
book, we would. Sorry, Joe?
Can you play that again?
Yeah. The problem is it's going to jump a bit. Okay, he's under pressure, trying to prevent a loss. Those 2 are criteria. Throws a ball. Let's say there's no receiver in the area. That's 3, but the ball crosses the line of scrimmage. It's not intentional grounding. Okay. Then there's some mechanics that if you're the side official that you need to help your referee out by pointing down at the field, downfield, that it's crossed the line of scrimmage, or pointing down into the backfield.
It also has to cross the line of scrimmage before it crosses the sideline, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So if it goes right over top of the stick, out of bounds, in flight, we don't have intentional grounding. If it goes right over top of the stick. That's why ideally we don't have officials on the line of scrimmage who are moving, but we do 5, which makes it a little bit more complicated.
Now,
Okay, so
one
it has
clarification on this. Quarterback's in that situation. He's throwing towards the receiver, but his arm is getting hit by Kai coming in. The ball only makes it halfway there. Do we call that intentional grounding?
So you're changing it slightly. Okay.
Yeah.
So the player right now is throwing the ball. If the quarterback hits his arm and it only lands here,
with
we
no
have
eligible
intentional
receivers
grounding.
there.
No,
Why not?
because his intent was to throw it further to a receiver.
Right. It was the action of the defender that caused the ball to go short.
Okay, good.
You need that context.
That's what I thought, but I wasn't 10,000%.
It's intentional grounding.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we have a punt with no yards. What's the penalty?
15.
Okay, it should be a 15. So just because I was told it was only applied as a 5. So if we had this happen at the university level last year also, so if you have information after everything's said and done and the covering official has thrown their flag and they've gone into the referee and they've indicated, you know, we've got a no yards, it's only a 5. If you as an official have other information, you need to take that in. And so in this situation, even this official back here, I know I'm stretching it, might have seen that, you know, God, he caught it in the air. And that's all you need to take in. He caught the ball in the air on that. Or if you're this official, or this official, and the official who's called has gone into the referee and said, no yards, it's a 5 yard. And we're starting to get everything set up. And you know that he caught it in the air. Get that information in. That's one of Andrew Bubar's most go-to comments. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Correct problems before they happen.
Can I comment on that, Alice?
Yeah.
Since it's me, I have been replaying that over in my head, well, up until I watched the video to confirm it. Because once I said it was 5, and I heard how upset Kevin Jones was and the other band, and I felt like I'm probably wrong. Like they don't say anything. And Mark did come in and he felt it was caught in the air, and it was left with me, and I said, I feel it touch the ground. To this day, I have no idea what I was looking at. The only thing I can figure is because that was the second no yards call on that player. He was really aggressive coming down, and I feel that maybe I was focused on where he was rather than watching that ball land. And that one drove me bananas because I knew when I heard like Kevin's not one to get overly upset. And I felt I was wrong, but anyway, that one's bothered me. Like it's literally right in front of me. And so I don't know how I did it.
And again, that's the situation where we need to rely on our teammates or our crewmates who are giving us the information that they may have had a better look at it. So yeah, just communicate, communicate, communicate. Make sure we get it right. Is what 33 does legal? Okay, so we're watching this player right here where my cursor is.
He just slowed up, right?
Did he slow up or did he set a screen?
Oh, I push on it.
Just being the devil's advocate. Is he doing anything wrong?
It's really difficult to infer intent there. He's got a right to be where he is on the field, and he doesn't have to keep running. Did he attempt to screen the player out? Possibly. But
Is
it's
he
really hard to
impeding?
infer intent.
Is he impeding the receiver?
But if he was turned around facing him, he'd be doing the same thing. He'd be impeding him. He'd be stopping him. He'd be blocking him.
Well, I'm just trying to be the devil's advocate too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like Bubar. Is he impeding his route to defend the ball? To catch the ball, sorry. He is
Or to-
impeding that receiver's route running ability. He's restricting him from going to get the ball.
But
I
that guy
agree
can
with
move
you,
around
Arliss.
him,
Yeah,
right?
well, I agree though, Arliss. That's a very impossible call to make. In
But he
real
may have-
time, trying to catch a guy slowing down intentionally that would be something.
But did he slow down so he didn't hit the receiver? Could he been slowing down for that reason?
Well, that's what he was doing. Sure.
A receiver's either trying to get open or trying to create space for somebody else. And to me, it looks clear what he's doing right there. He's not trying to get open. Just my 2 cents.
Yeah, and he's continuing to move. If he would have had a head start on the guy, and I don't know if any part of this video actually shows him having much of a head start. No, he doesn't. But if he was standing where this player is and had come to a stop, and then the player in red runs into him, it's a different situation. This is a really ugly pick for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
Something that I think Arliss said it. He's entitled to his position, but what's his position when he's moving, right? He's entitled to his space to his spot on the field, but the spot can't move. Otherwise, he's impeding, right? So
it ultimately should be called. It's very hard to make that call on the field based on the interaction that's occurring between these two guys. But by textbook, we would have had a defensive pass interference.
It's very subtle.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah.
He's not playing the ball either, so he's not even acting like a receiver.
No, he's preventing the defender from getting. He's preventing he's preventing the receiver from getting to his target area and allowing his teammate to have a better opportunity to intercept the ball. Oh, now we're into the fun ones. Okay, so I'm not sure if you can see what's actually happening. So the question is, what has to happen right? One more clip.
Whistle.
Okay.
Allow it to get to
Whistle.
Okay, so the ball hits the upright, it's crossbar. I'm guessing, I think this is Zane. You can see him bring his whistle to his mouth when it hits the crossbar, killing the play. As the two officials underneath the uprights, what do you need to continue to do?
Officiate.
Watch the ball.
Continue to officiate by watching the ball. Those of us who have been on the university panel for a while can remember a similar situation happened at Mount A. And one official would tell you that the other guy bailed out on him. The other guy would probably disagree with that. But anyhow, you have to continue to officiate. If it goes through, we have a good field goal. We have to kill the ball first. Some of you have probably seen this one bouncing around. Okay, so unfortunately, I have the little toggles in there. So the question is, the ball hits the player's helmet right here. And the question was, should the ball be killed now?
No.
No, it's still a live ball. So once it hits that player in the helmet, who can then legally catch the ball?
anybody that's onside.
Anybody.
Anybody, period.
Anybody, period. Once it hits a player beyond the line of scrimmage, everybody is an eligible receiver. Okay? So it hits them, we play on. All 24 players on the field are now eligible to catch that ball.
What if it hits the umpire's head?
That's dead ball.
Dead ball.
Dead umpire.
Blow your whistles and you start laughing.
Now, okay, so Al, if there's a pass and it goes, it's a short, say just a short pass, goes just over the line, hits a receiver, and pops back, and a defensive line or an offensive lineman catches the ball.
You better be running fast for the goal line.
Okay, just
yeah.
As long as
the
it's
new rule this year that once the ball touches anybody on or beyond the line of scrimmage, everybody is eligible.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't bounce forward in an onside direction, then you could have in an offside direction. But,
so like
well,
in this
the pass
situation,
is still completed, but it comes back.
Yeah. Okay, so once it hits them, everybody is now eligible. Okay, we all agreed on that.
Okay, how about just one more question?
Yeah.
So say it's an onside pass, bounces off the running back who's still behind the line of scrimmage, then an offensive lineman catches it.
We have an offside pass.
Okay.
Because it's gone in the forward direction. Okay. And now the next question is, does this guy create defensive pass interference? Who's going for the ball?
No, it's going for the ball.
Going
Yeah,
for
I
the
don't-
ball. What does
The
he
other
do
ones
to the
didn't see it.
That's part of it. So
Yeah.
he's going for the ball. What did he do to the other two players?
Looked like he just jumped up. He didn't push them, did he?
Exactly. He didn't do anything to them.
Yeah.
He just went to get the ball. He didn't do anything to create space for himself. He didn't do anything to move players away. He was going after the ball. And here's the interesting thing. When the ball has been tipped, can we have pass interference?
No, once the ball has been touched, all bets are off.
Yeah.
Contact's legal again.
So if we back this up, come on, where are you? If we back this up just a bit, he could go right through those guys to get the ball because the ball was touched over here and bounced this way. So he can go get it, even by going through those players. As long as he doesn't do anything stupid, like leading with his helmet. Bounces the ball, catches it, touchdown, scored. Okay, so I think this might be the last one. I'm not sure. It's close.
Okay, so I'll just a quick question for that last one. So the ball's tipped up in the air. There's no such thing as loose ball foul. Like you can just run a guy over after the ball.
If it's still in the air.
Yeah.
Everything short of a UR.
Yeah.
What if it's okay? I'd be a complete pass. Yeah. Okay. Never mind.
So note where he's lined up for two. There's two reasons. Was there a substitution prior to this play happening? Those of you that were in the game, can anybody answer that question? So who's white? Did Harrison Trimble send any players on to substitute prior to the kicking? Think about it when we'll come back to it.
Historically, from previous games, they substitute.
Okay. Yeah. And that could be important.
Did they send the kicker on?
I don't know. We'll see in a second. Okay. So he's in an onside position. Comes down. That's him. Okay, so he's coming in right now. So can he be there?
Yes.
Yes.
He can be, but the other guys can't.
Why not?
The other guys aren't on side. He was.
Okay.
And it's not a sleeper play because he's on his side or on bench side.
The other guys have any effect on the play where the guy was going down anyway? Just throwing it out there.
He could have went down because the other guys were there.
So?
Yeah, it's preventing the catcher's players from at least defending his position, although he was on the ground.
He's got a 5-yard circle of immunity, with the exception of the onside guy.
Yeah.
None of the white team should be within a 5-yard radius of him when he first touches the ball.
Just trying to find it here for us. Sorry, I should have dug this out first. 5, 4.
Is it when he touches the ball or when the ground touches the ground first? And then it rolled, didn't it roll?
So, casebook 422. A1 punts, the ball is lined still in the B 40-yard line, and no B players with, this isn't the one I want. 421. That's 30 yards cross lines from that. Maybe it is one. in the section on kicks from scrimmage, where it talks about the restraining zone, it actually says that a player or players who are within the restraining zone and have no bearing on the play will not be penalized. God. Matt Mullins, you found that for me one time. Where the heck is it?
And is that just because an
Oh,
onside guy was in there?
Nope. Well, in this case, there's an onside guy, so he has the immunity to go get the ball without penalty. These three players that I have the arrows all running to, as Arliss pointed out, are all within 5-yard restraining line. Number 58 might be also, but none of them are involved with any of the opponents. They have no bearing on the recovery of the ball by either the blue player or the white player. There would be no foul for those three unless they got involved.
But that's only because the guy is going to the ground to get the ball. If he's picking the ball up off the ground, then they're certainly within the restraining zone.
Agreed.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because there's no return here because he's going to the ground. But if he's picking it up and going to advance it, then they get their flags.
Right. So let's take this player, this guy out and move him back over here. And this player is going to get the ball, the onside player. Are these guys within the restraining zone with another player here? Are they eligible to be penalized? This player is not here.
No.
If they don't do anything. Correct. Okay. So as Paul alluded to, this player is going directly to the kill situation. This player is permitted to be here, and these three will not be called because there's no play. If he had picked the ball up, these three would then be in the restraining zone.
Al, can you run that back a bit and then go forward? I guess part of my concern is, did he go to the ground? Someone alluded to this. Did he go to the ground because he had a wave of white coming at him? No, he didn't. Okay.
Looking at the ball.
Yeah, he did. In that case, okay, that's what I wanted to see. If he was facing down the field, he couldn't see the white guys coming at all.
So now I want to go back to Pat. Did you find that for me yet?
I'm looking.
No? All right. So it's in the case book. I should have looked it up earlier today. So going back to this question and the first question that I had, which was, where is it? Where is it? Oh, for God's sakes. My question was there a substitution prior to this play going? And if there was, is it important? And it's going to have two spin-offs. About, I'm going to say 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, a new rule was instituted under the sleeper rule. The sleeper rule up until that time was you could not throw a pass to a player who was positioned near their bench following a substitution procedure. It was called a sleeper play. And then they added, you could not kick it to that player. So there's two things we need to think about. Was there a substitution? If there was, lights should go off. Then the next question is he in close proximity to his team bench?
No. I say no.
He's what, 5'10"? 15 yards from the end of his. He's 10 yards, 10 and a half, 12 and a half yards from his team bench here.
Well, he's 15
yard
because the
line.
bench is at the 15-yard line.
15, yeah. So you could get away with saying if the kicker does a little pooch kick out to that player on that sideline, you could probably argue, well, he wasn't in close proximity to the team bench. We move up a bit, then it becomes an issue. We have substitutions, or what appears to be substitution proceedings. And did the kick go to a player who had positioned himself close to the team bench area? So in this one, they're far enough away. But if we move up and the player is now here and we're kicking from line of scrimmages up here, then it becomes an issue, something for us to be aware of. Okay.
So Al, the only thing I can find on the no yards is talks about recovered by an onside player.
And players in the area?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can find.
That's the one that your dad was alluding to, that if there was nobody else there and nobody else was involved, then we're good to go. He can pick that. There's no penalty against those guys for being in the neutral zone.
If it's recovered by that onside player.
By the onside player.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Mr. Dunn, wherever you went, put your driver down.
What do you need?
Well, we're all done. Where you been?
Well, I'm getting ready for my match at 8:30.
What'd I tell you?
You're host. You can end it.
Well, I am. Well, imagine that. Alrighty. Well, you've got to stop. Oh no, I guess I can do this too. God. Well, Ray, you have to stop the recording. But anyhow.
Okay, let me just do that.